growing controversy over the past 24 hours over multivitamins.
But it's important for high blood pressure. It's important for cancer.
Or they might even be dangerous.
So vitamins have become a bit like fashion trends. One week you're in, the next week you're out.
I've always assumed if I eat a healthy, balanced diet, I'll get everything I need in terms of essential vitamins and nutrients. But is it really that simple? I know they prevent scurvy, but what else do they do? How do vitamins actually work? And how do we know if we're getting enough of them to stay healthy? Do we really need vitamin supplements?
I'm Bryce Sage, filmmaker and health fanatic. I'm hitting the road to meet with the world's leading experts to sort out all this confusion about vitamins.
Well, vitamin D controls 1/24 of the human genome.
This product has been associated with an increased risk of prostate cancer.
It's not just the science geek in me that wants answers, it's my inner hypochondriac.
I wasn't always this healthy. Flashback to me in high school, the fat kid with the crappy diet. So no surprise I'm now a bit obsessed with my nutrition and health. Everything I know about vitamins, I learned in grade 7 science, which means I forgot most of it. Today, I kind of take vitamins for granted, but how do they really work? And everyone says they're so essential. But why is that? I figure the best place to start is evolution. Deep in the heart of the San Francisco Zoo, I've tracked down anthropologist Dr. Catherine Milton.
Hi, you must be Catherine.
Milton has spent her career studying our primate relatives and how they evolved to get the vitamins they need.
She studies the dietary ecology of primates and, more importantly, what it might have to say about us.
Katie, why are vitamins so essential?
Well, vitamins are involved in all sorts of important biological processes in the body. And the thing is, we can't really manufacture them ourselves. We have to take in almost all of the 13 essential vitamins in our diet. So we can't make them, and we have to have them. And they have to be in our food, or we are in trouble.
But get this, most plants and animals can manufacture many of the vitamins they need. And very few animals can't, at the very least, make their own vitamin C.
The vitamin that always comes up when people are discussing humans, of course, is vitamin C. And that's because humans and the other anthropoids, the monkeys and apes, are unable to synthesize it. Then you look around, and almost every other single vertebrate, regardless of what order it's in, is able to synthesize vitamin C.
Even our household cats and dogs can make it, thanks to a gene that enables vitamin C production. And here's a neat twist. We have the same gene. Only problem is at some point in our evolutionary past, that gene stopped working.
Why would we lose the ability to do something so essential?
I don't think anyone really knows the exact answer to your question, but the idea seems to be that because primates eat almost an exclusively plant-based diet, they are taking in copious amounts of vitamin C in their diet every single day. So it's really unnecessary for them to be able to manufacture or synthesize their own vitamin C.
In other words, we simply didn't need the gene to be functional at the time. A diet rich in vitamin C ensured that our ancestors and their primate cousins didn't get wiped out by the deficiency disease scurvy.
You've been studying the diets of primates for years. What have you learned that can be applied to humans?
I've looked at just about everything you can look at, and there's not a single class of nutrient that I haven't found some interesting differences in. Primates take in very high quantities of dietary fiber in their diets every day. They take in much more vitamins and minerals as a general rule in their diet than humans do.
In fact, Milton has discovered that the average 15-pound or 7-kilo monkey takes in 600 milligrams of vitamin C a day, more than 7 times the recommended daily dose for the average human.
So does that mean we're not getting enough vitamin C in our diets?
I certainly raised some questions as to why monkeys and apes take in so much more. We know that the general population in the United States is certainly not getting enough vitamin C in their diet.
Surveys say that up to 25% of North Americans consume less vitamin C than the recommended daily dose. And it's even worse for other nutrients like vitamins A, D, E, and B9 or folate.
Do we really need the same micronutrients as our primate cousins? How do we even figure out what we actually require in the vitamin department? What can these numbers tell us?
Next stop, Washington, D.C. Time to decode all that confusing package information.
I've come to the nation's capital to get the inside scoop straight from the horse's mouth.
I've come to the National Institutes of Health, where one of these brilliant horses is stabled. I'm talking about Dr. Paul Coates, an expert with the lowdown on our daily needs for all 13 vitamins.
Well, that means you are exactly the man I'm looking to talk to, because I need to figure out what these numbers really mean and where they come from.
Maybe I can help you with that. The governments of the United States and Canada pull together panels to look at what are called recommended dietary allowances. And these numbers are the ones that are used to generate the daily values that you see on food labels.
And what's the history of them? How long have they existed?
This process has been in place since the 1940s. In the Second World War, there was an effort that was to put together recommended intakes for emergency kinds of situations.
The recommended requirements were first developed to ensure the boys in uniform stayed in tip-top fighting form.
I guess I'm in. When do we eat? Well, what's your hurry?
During the Second World War, preventing vitamin deficiency diseases like rickets was seen as a matter of national defense.
So I think I understand these RDAs. The idea is that if I get the minimum amount of a certain vitamin, then I'll avoid a deficiency disorder like scurvy.
It's actually a little more complicated than that. Here's the model that we use in order to determine what's adequate and what's too little and what's too much.
Turns out there's a lower and upper limit for each vitamin, and they're calibrated to ensure we get enough to stay alive and not overdose. Too much of certain vitamins, like A and E, can actually be toxic. While the experts still debate the sweet spot, how much of each vitamin we really need to stay healthy in the long run, most agree the recommended daily amounts do prevent deficiency diseases in 98% of the population, assuming you follow them.
Can the average person get everything they need to meet these RDAs with diet alone?
Generally speaking, they can.
Okay. And would you be able to make me a list of the ideal perfect foods?
That's a little more complicated. There isn't an ideal list, but if you eat a balanced diet, you will achieve adequate nutrient status for all of those vitamins and minerals.
If I'm gonna find out exactly what I need for my diet, I got a lot of work to do. Thanks, doctor.
With the help of a hefty nutrition textbook, I'm off to do some grocery shopping. While everyone seems to agree the best source of vitamins and minerals is our food, even that can get a little bit complicated.
I think I've got everything I need. Plus, this is looking pretty nutritious, wholesome, and well-balanced to me. But I think I can handle one cheat item. Plus, my favorite cereal is loaded with vitamins.
Welcome to diabetes and hypertension.
Sorry, Dr. Katz.
Meet nutrition expert and physician David Katz, founder of Yale's renowned Prevention Research Center. Katz knows his healthy eating and the challenges facing consumers. Cereal companies tout the nutritious benefits of their products when they're mostly sugar with vitamins added. It's actually a process called fortification.
What exactly is fortification?
With fortification, nutrients are being added to the food. So it's part of the manufacturing process. So they're not nutrients that are intrinsic to the food, right? So it's not already in there naturally.
Why would we fortify our food with nutrients?
Well, historically, fortification was about making sure the population got critically important nutrients they otherwise weren't getting enough of.
A century ago, a debilitating bone disorder called rickets ravaged thousands of children.
But just by fortifying milk with vitamin D, governments virtually eliminated this deficiency disease by the 1930s. Just a decade ago, there was also a move to fortify bread products with folic acid or vitamin B9, mainly to help pregnant women avoid birth defects. But buyer beware, not all fortification practices are created equal.
The problem is, in the modern era, it's gotten very haphazard. So now it's really just vitamins and minerals kind of added willy-nilly to everything in the food supply, and often used for marketing purposes.
Is the average person getting what they need in terms of vitamins and nutrients?
Enough to prevent deficiency? Yeah. But if the question, Bryce, is about optimal nutrition, then I would say no. Fruits, vegetables, they have all sorts of compounds that have nutritional value that are never added through fortification. And you only get those if you eat brightly colored fruits and vegetables. So if you're asking about those nutrients, I would say almost no one's getting enough.
I guess it goes without saying then that people should be getting the nutrients from a natural source as opposed to having them added to processed food.
But it is interesting to note that even foods like broccoli, there's some concern that nutrient levels are coming down slightly because of modern agricultural practices.
Are you serious? This sounds like something I need to look into.
Yeah, interesting story.
You know what? I'm gonna do that. Do you mind paying for all this?
What?
To investigate why our supermarket veggies may not be as nutritious as they used to be, I've dusted off and pressed my overalls to head back to California.
I think that's an interesting thing.
This one piece will make 52 layers.
Watch on mobile devices or the big screen. All for free. No subscription required.
Since the dawn of agriculture, we've been selectively breeding for yield. Farmers choose the seeds that grow the fastest and the largest. But is bigger actually better?
It's a question I want to ask organic farmer Jake Daigle.
Jake, I've heard that there's actually been measurable declines in the foods we eat. Is that true?
A lot of those heirloom varieties that were grown in the past are being bred out for varieties that yield more. Quality gets thrown by the wayside, and the quantity is really the focus.
Turns out the science agrees with Jake. As conventionally grown crops have grown bigger over the last 50 years, their water content has gone up, but their nutrient content has gone down from 10 to 30%. That means we're not getting as many vitamins and minerals per portion size as we used to.
So we're not getting as much bang for our buck.
If this would represent an heirloom organic head of broccoli, like we grow on this farm, it's packed in nutrients.
If I can't trust I'm getting the vitamins I need from the food I'm eating, how would I know if I'm getting enough nutrients to survive?
So what should I do? Only eat organic? Maybe I should ask David.
Highly nutritious foods are so highly nutritious that even if nutrient levels come down a bit, they're still the way to go, right? Some people get so hung up on eating organic, they think, well, if it's not organic, I won't eat it, and they actually reduce their intake of fruits and vegetables. That's a mistake.
It's still better than deep fried potatoes or any of that stuff.
No comparison.
Does the way we prepare our foods actually affect the nutrient levels?
It can affect it in different ways, right? So, for example, you cook meat that concentrates the protein, concentrates the minerals.
In addition, water-soluble vitamins like B and C can be lost with cooking, but other vitamins seem to like the heat. When cooked, the beta-carotene or vitamin A in carrots increases by as much as 27%. Even better, a little oil with those carrots may actually be a good thing because vitamin A is only absorbed by the body after it's dissolved in fat.
Also, vitamin C, which you'll get from vegetables or fruits, would actually help you absorb more iron out of the meat, which is why it's good to combine foods in a meal the way we tend to do. So lots of different interactions.
David, this is really overwhelming, not gonna lie.
There's good and bad in that glass, by the way. Red wine is a source of ethanol. That's what makes it alcohol.
And it's hard for the body to metabolize. So we actually can drain nutrients out of the body in order to metabolize ethanol, B vitamins in particular.
All this dietary advice is just making me more afraid I may not be getting all the vitamins I need from my food. Maybe I do need to turn to supplements, but can I get them all in one pill? Do I need all of this? Are all supplements created equal? And where do they come from?
Did you know that the raw honey of bees is actually a great source of all the B-complex vitamins?
All 8 of the B-complex vitamins tend to coexist in the same foods, and they each perform critical functions. B12 is key to brain development, while folate, or B9, helps to make red blood cells.
Which got me thinking, is honey the kind of thing they use to make vitamin supplements?
The global supplement industry is worth $68 billion, and vitamins are worth $8.5 billion in the US alone. Kind of a big deal, but where do they come from? To unravel that mystery, I've got a backstage pass to a local vitamin factory.
So you said you get these things from all over the place. Can you give me some examples?
So vitamin A and E is, we source it from cod liver oil, from Alaska, Greenland, and Iceland. And then we get vitamin C from aloe vera.
Now, how about vitamin D? Do you have like a giant magnifying glass you can harness all the sun into a tablet?
Well, for vitamin D, actually, we get it from lanolin, and that's actually from any oily, woolly mammal.
The most common source of lanolin comes courtesy of these critters. Once extracted from their wool, the lanolin is then converted into vitamin D using ultraviolet light. Time to get suited up to find out how vitamins actually get made.
Looking good, Bryce. This is where we dispense every individual raw materials according to the formula.
The formula for, say, like a multivitamin?
Yes.
The recommended daily requirements are used as a general guideline in each vitamin recipe. While most supplements are formed into dry tablets, fat-soluble vitamins like A and E are dissolved in oil and formed into soft gels before being bottled and packaged.
Before I start taking vitamin supplements, I guess I should find out if I'm actually deficient in any of them.
We've been waiting for you.
I'm getting a test that'll measure the level of each vitamin in my blood, a test anyone can order through a family doctor. I'm bringing my results to Dr. Bruce Ames, a world-renowned biochemist based in San Francisco. Ames has done groundbreaking research on how low vitamin levels can impact long-term health. If anyone knows whether I need to start popping supplements, it'll be this guy.
Looks like the results of my blood work are in. Time to find out if I'm actually deficient. Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Bryce. Nice to meet you. So, may I ask how old you are?
I'll be 86 in about 10 days.
Wow, and you're still working out.
Well, you should when you're old.
Yeah.
Keeps you healthy.
Enough about you. My results are in, so I was wondering if you could tell me what they reveal.
So your vitamin D is a little low, but I sort of expect that for a lot of Canadians because you're up north and don't get a lot of sun.
So do I need to worry about taking a multivitamin?
That's complicated, but I take a multivitamin mineral as insurance.
You know, I want to talk about this more, so I'll meet you back at the lab.
Great.
See you there.
Ames came up with the revolutionary idea that vitamins aren't just needed to prevent deficiency diseases, they're also essential for maintaining health as we age.
I think the main item that's keeping us all from living a long life is bad diet. Lots of shortages of vitamins or essential minerals cause DNA damage, which leads to cancer. Why is nature doing that? And one day I had this epiphany. When you have a limited amount of the vitamin, well, you put it in those proteins that'll keep you alive so you can reproduce. That's what nature wants.
Ames calls it triage theory. Just as hospitals use triage to prioritize heart attacks before broken bones, Ames maintains that our bodies also triage vitamins.
If we're low on a particular vitamin, the body assigns it to short-term survival rather than long-term health. And he's demonstrated this in a study focusing on vitamin K.
All vitamin K proteins are calcium-binding protein. And it was discovered as a blood clotting factor. And blood clotting is really important because you'd bleed to death if you didn't have blood clotting.
Vitamin K is also essential for the prevention of calcification or hardening of the arteries. In a mouse study, Ames decided to see what would happen when the body is robbed of vitamin K. Sure enough, when K levels are low, it gets rationed towards short-term survival.
And so when you're short of vitamin K, it goes into the blood clotting proteins, but not into the proteins that are protecting you from calcification of the arteries.
So if vitamin K gets rationed, is that true for all vitamins? Ames believes that just might be the case.
Maybe if vitamins are so important, I should be just taking way more of them.
Mae West said too much of a good thing is wonderful, but I think she was thinking about sex, not vitamins. I look at my diet and decide what may I not be getting enough of and take a little more of that.
Okay, I'll buy what Bruce says about too much of a good thing, but what if my body has been rationing vitamins for years? Maybe I need to top up with a trendy megadose. I mean, I am in trendy San Francisco. I've booked into a local health spa to get some vitamins IV style. It's a health fad that claims to cure everything from fatigue and hangovers to heart disease.
Are you gonna watch?
Oh, I'm gonna watch because I'm a big boy.
All right. So big deep breaths, okay? 1, 2, 3, a little pinch. And slide in a small catheter.
Okay.
So this is the Myers cocktail. There are 1,000 micrograms of B12 and 1,000 micrograms of all the other B vitamins. And then about 2 grams of vitamin C.
All right, load me up.
At a whopping 20 times the recommended daily dose, the heaviest hit in the Myers cocktail is vitamin C, a vitamin that's been analyzed and debated for decades. But is there any evidence that vitamin C has magical healing powers? This lemon contains about 45 milligrams of vitamin C, or about 50 to 60% of what we're supposed to take to avoid scurvy.
But some claim we need way more. That mega doses of vitamin C can cure everything from the common cold to cancer. So who do we trust?
Can vitamin C beat the common cold? Some trials involving soldiers in training and marathon runners revealed that higher doses of vitamin C halved their incidence of the cold. While another study with competitive swimmers found that regular use of vitamin C halved the duration of their common cold. So, should average Joes like me start upping my dose of vitamin C?
The athletes studied expended huge amounts of energy under tough conditions, so vitamin C may have played a role in keeping them healthy. But most experts agree, upping your vitamin C will do little or nothing to beat the common cold for the average person. So what about the cancer claims? I'm back to the National Institutes of Health to meet with Dr. Mark Levine, one of the world's leading experts on vitamin C. Levine has been studying its impact on the immune system for more than a decade, and he's discovered that how you take vitamin C makes a huge difference in how the body reacts.
When you take vitamin C orally, our bodies naturally utilize about 100 milligrams or so before flushing out the excess in our urine. But if you inject it into your veins, something pretty awesome happens.
If you give that vitamin C by vein, surprise, the amount that the body has temporarily can go much higher. Nobody knew when vitamin C is given by vein, the body exquisite ways of controlling how much we have are short-circuited for hours. Only when there is enough of it do we form hydrogen peroxide. And that hydrogen peroxide leads to cancer cell death. And we know this because we have measured this, again, in the laboratory and in animals.
In studies of mice with ovarian, brain, and pancreatic cancer, high-dose vitamin C and its hydrogen peroxide byproduct reduced tumors by an astonishing 50%. Early trials with humans seem to indicate vitamin C IV therapy may also be effective for us.
What are the next steps? We have to learn, does ascorbic acid work with chemotherapy? Do patients' tumors get smaller? Do patients feel better? Or both? And those studies are going to happen.
Levine's research suggests that megadose vitamin C may have potential as a future cancer treatment. But how does he feel about using it to treat a cold?
Do I take it when I get a cold? No. But what should Bryce do? If you wish and you want to supplement and your kidneys are fine and you don't have oxalate renal stones, go ahead. Take your supplements if you want. If you take your supplements. If you want.
Okay, megadosing may benefit people who are really sick or deficient in a particular vitamin, but the jury's still out for average Joes like me.
To find out, I'm rushing to meet a leading vitamin skeptic. Meet Paul Offutt, a physician who's investigated every supplement claim and found many to be false, and others downright dangerous.
Sorry I'm late. I was in a bit of a rush, so I had to get a burger and fries. I know it's not the most nutritious, doesn't have a lot of vitamins, but I did come prepared with my vitamin supplements.
Well, got quite a stash there.
I know vitamins are really good for you, so I have those to back me up.
Well, there's a danger there. I mean, certainly vitamins are important. I mean, vitamins are essential for life. Vitamins help us convert food into energy. But it's possible to get too much of a good thing. This is a perfect example. This vitamin E says 1,000 international units, but if you look on the side under supplement facts, it says you get 3,333% of the recommended daily allowance. That's
like 33
times the recommended daily allowance.
Is there any evidence that that amount of vitamin E is actually dangerous?
Yes, study after study has shown that if you take excess vitamin E, excess vitamin A, both of which are antioxidants, you actually increase your risk of heart disease, you actually increase your risk of cancer. So when it says heart health on the front here, that's really mislabeled.
Is it okay to take a multivitamin to fill in the gap?
What you find is that those who take multivitamins are not any healthier than those who don't. Now, they're not any less healthier, so I don't think that multivitamins hurt you, but certainly there's no evidence that they help you. I suspect it just makes for a lot of expensive urine. In the United States, this is an unregulated industry, meaning the company that makes this is under no obligation to, frankly, support its claims or admit its harm. Really, ever since the mid-70s, the FDA has not been allowed to regulate this product. We went through this at our hospital. When people would bring in vitamins, and then we call the company to see whether or not it's made under good manufacturing practices, and whether what's on the labels, what's in the bottle, whether they have a so-called certificate of analysis, and we were really disappointed. 90% of the companies that we called either didn't respond, and of the 10% that did respond, much of the time we found out that the label was misleading.
Unlike the US, many countries do have the power to regulate the vitamin industry. But regulated or not, Offutt still maintains that supplements aren't the way to go.
Pills are not the way nature means us to take in vitamins.
Is this something that you can show me?
Sure, let's go take a look at the lab.
All right.
So let's take vitamin A, for example.
All right. The kind of thing that you would get from carrots or tomatoes.
Exactly. And vitamin A serves a lot of functions. It helps with growth and development. It helps with eyesight. It helps with the immune system, especially as it relates to getting better from a measles infection, which I think many people don't know.
So what are those things called that are inside of the tomato?
Well, there's a bunch of stuff. There's fibers, and there's phytochemicals, and there's enzymes and coenzymes, all of which enable vitamin A to be taken up by the body in the manner that it's supposed to be taken up. Let's take a look under this microscope.
All right.
Getting vitamins from food means they come packed with other natural ingredients like citrus bioflavonoids that help with their absorption.
All right, so you've convinced me it's better to get the vitamins from the natural source than from the pill form. Can I at least have my vitamin water? I mean, it tastes really good.
Vitamin water. Words that go about as well together as red meat water. Just doesn't sound right, does it?
Okay, fine.
Now I'm really confused. To supplement or not to supplement? Even the experts don't seem to agree. According to Paul Offutt, we should avoid taking vitamin supplements. But I also know I'm pretty low on vitamin D. Maybe it's time to investigate that. What better way to tackle my vitamin D deficiency than a little winter tanning? I'm waiting for Dr. Reinhold Veith, who knows more about the sunshine vitamin than pretty much anyone.
Hi, Bryce. Hey, Doc.
What are you up to?
Just trying to soak up some vitamin D.
You know, it's a little late for that. There's just not enough UV in the sunshine to make vitamin D anymore. But one thing you should be aware of is that if your shadow is longer than your height, there's not enough ultraviolet light in the sunshine to make vitamin D.
Well, that's not a very fun fact.
Veith has spent a lifetime studying vitamin D and is an advocate for upping our daily dose. Could you explain for a layman like me the process in which vitamin D is created by the sun?
Your skin is a cholesterol-producing organ. The sun does something in your skin that your body can't do, and that is make vitamin D.
Direct exposure to the sun's ultraviolet rays transforms those cholesterol molecules into vitamin D. The active form enters the blood as a hormone, and one of its key functions is to enhance the absorption of calcium, which is vital to building and maintaining our bones. I've heard we have different needs for vitamin D because of the skin color.
If you look at the skin color of a human being, you can estimate the latitude from which their ancestors came. Dark skin is a natural sun protectant. Our species evolved to live in the tropics, and our skin color was appropriate for there. But as people migrated away from the tropics, northward or southward, there was less sunshine.
Less sunshine and dark skin means less vitamin D. So scientists now speculate that human skin got paler to ensure our survival.
Low vitamin D increases the risk of problems happening. One of those risks is, of course, osteoporosis or rickets, which is associated with misshapen bones. And for a girl, her pelvis becomes too narrow to deliver a baby the natural way. And in ancient times, she would have died in childbirth.
So lighter skin evolved so that we could...
Not evolved. It was selected for. It was as if nature was saying, your skin is too dark for the region in which you're living. We'll find somebody else to survive there that has a lighter skin color.
Fair skin is nearly 6 times more efficient at making vitamin D. While darker skin offers better sun protection near the equator, if you move further north, that protection can become a problem. So if you have darker skin and you live in northern climates, you're probably going to be much more likely to be deficient of vitamin D.
Absolutely true, yeah. We've done studies of University of Toronto students.
After studying a selection of diverse young adults, Reinhold and his team discovered that the darker the skin color, the more likely they'd be deficient in vitamin D.
Actually, Reinhold discovered that, on average, darker-skinned people living in northern latitudes had 50% less vitamin D in their blood than the recommended amount.
They actually need more sunshine to make the same amount of vitamin D.
So should Canadians like me be completely okay when it comes to vitamin D?
You might be, but you might not. We don't know for sure. We don't know yet what exactly the optimal amount of vitamin D is, and the answer to the question may lie in a number of different kinds of research.
Turns out researchers around the world are studying vitamin D precisely because there are so many unknowns.
Apparently, there's a scientist here in San Francisco who made a startling discovery that vitamin D isn't just essential for the development of our bones, but for the development of our brains.
That expert is trailblazing biochemist Rhonda Patrick.
So what made you decide to get into vitamin D research?
Well, vitamin D actually controls 1/24 of the human genome, which to me says it's pretty important.
To me, it says I really need the sun.
Well, vitamin D is actually not just a vitamin, it's a steroid hormone. It controls the expression of over 900 genes in the body. My team and I found that vitamin D actually activates this gene called tryptophan hydroxylase that converts tryptophan into serotonin.
Okay, so what exactly does serotonin do?
Serotonin is a neurotransmitter. It regulates social behavior, so the way humans interact with each other.
Just how important is serotonin? Well, the scientists say it regulates our appetite and digestion. It affects our sleep patterns. It influences romantic desire. And it even balances mood.
Serotonin during early brain development plays an important role in shaping the way the brain develops, the structure and the wiring of the neurons. Studies have shown in mice, when you disrupt serotonin synthesis in early development, the mice have characteristics similar to autism.
Researchers have known for a while that low serotonin is a key characteristic of autism. So, given the vital link between vitamin D and serotonin, does that mean autistic kids are vitamin D deficient? Patrick believes that just might be the case.
But autism only affects a small percentage of the population. Do the rest of us have to worry about this link?
Well, serotonin is important for brain function in everyone, and this has been shown experimentally. You can actually take a person and deplete them of their tryptophan, which is the precursor to serotonin, and normal people become very impulsive, they get angry, their long-term decision-making shuts down. So we're talking about, everyone.
Vitamin D is pretty essential. Are people getting enough of it?
Most recent surveys have found that in the United States, 70% of the population is not getting enough vitamin D. Vitamin D is critical to make serotonin, and serotonin makes you feel good.
If you live in colder climates with long, dark winters, you'll be at an even higher risk for vitamin D deficiency. But according to Reinhold, there's an easy solution: fortification.
Even if you accept the most conservative advice about vitamin D, we're not eating anywhere near that. I think vitamin D should be something that is, forced on the food industry to put it in at a proper level. In order to get it into food, you have to prove that it works when you add it to food, and with regard to vitamin D, it works well with dairy products.
Why did you pick pizza cheese?
The #1 kind of cheese that's consumed is mozzarella. You can easily manufacture cheese that has more vitamin D in it than other cheese. You could fortify it in essence. And then the question is, if you're cooking that food, is it actually getting into your bloodstream?
How much vitamin D did you add to the cheese?
We did a low-dose cheese that would be allowable by the government, 200 units per serving. And we did a high-dose vitamin D so that we could actually detect and answer the question, does it get into your body? So in this experiment, we did cheese at 28,000 units of vitamin D once a week per serving.
Eaten once a week, this works out to 4,000 international units per day, or 5 times the suggested daily dose of vitamin D. So what were the results?
98% of the participants who consumed the high-dose cheese achieved vitamin D serum levels of over 75 nanomoles per liter. That's the optimal range for vitamin D. Thanks.
Surprise, surprise. If you put vitamin D into your mouth, it gets into your body very well, just whether it's in food or in a supplement.
Is there any danger to consuming a lot more vitamin D than recommended?
Well, it's safe because it's still well below what you would be making in sunshine. If you went out in a bathing suit on a nice summer day, you'd be making the equivalent of 10,000 units. Outdoor workers, they've studied what would they passively make if they were a farmer or a roofer. They'd be making over 4,000 units per day.
If skin color and geography can influence our need for vitamin D, I wonder if we have individual needs for the other vitamins. And what does genetics have to say on the subject?
I imagine Dr. Ahmed El-Sohemi at the University of Toronto might know. He's investigating the genetics of nutrition. So I want to take one of his tests to see what I can learn.
Hi, Dr. El-Sohemi. Got here as fast as I could. Here for the DNA test.
Glad you can make it.
All right, so what's your test for?
Well, this is a genetic test that looks at 7 genes that affect the way you respond to 7 components of your diet.
All right, so what would be the specific things I'm looking for?
Well, 2 of those genes affect the way your body responds to 2 vitamins, vitamin C and folate.
Oh, we have individual needs for vitamins.
We do know that people respond differently to the same amount of vitamin that they consume, and that's partly based on their genetics.
Let's get this party started.
According to El-Sohemi, at least a dozen genetic variants have already been identified that impact our ability to metabolize vitamins. But with over 600 enzymes in the body utilizing vitamins to do their work, there could be many more variants yet to be discovered.
Place it in the bag.
Are all these vitamin genes created equal?
Genes code for proteins. Those are the workhorses in the cell that impact things like the absorption of the nutrient, the cellular uptake, and the breakdown of all of the things that we consume. So depending on how efficient we are at each of those different steps, our ultimate requirements will vary from one person to the next. Some of the variations in these genes that affect the metabolism of vitamins are actually quite common.
One study in the UK revealed nearly half of all women aren't so good at metabolizing vitamin A. Here you go. And Dr. El-Sohemi discovered that 1 in 5 Caucasians are less efficient at processing vitamin C. No offense, guys, but I hope it isn't me.
Dr. El-Sohemi also discovered that the vitamin C variant affects almost 50% of the East Asian population, putting them at elevated risk for vitamin C deficiency. And guess what? El-Sohemi is part of that 50%.
And because I know my genetic profile, I know what aspects of my diet I need to be more mindful of. I have a particular version of a gene that makes me less efficient at utilizing the vitamin C that I consume.
Right.
So for me personally, I'm just more mindful of having a glass of orange juice every morning.
So what is the future of this science?
Well, I think there's a lot that we don't know, but at least we've moved away from the kind of generic one-size-fits-all to further fine-tuning the recommendations for an individual.
But are these tests really necessary? Or are they what some people claim, a big waste of time and money?
Some have argued that it's too early to offer genetic testing to personalized nutrition. But the fact is, we've shown, using randomized controlled clinical trials, that this type of information does in fact motivate people to actually follow the recommendations that we give them.
Now I'm curious about my results. So I'm heading to a local gym to meet with Dr. El-Sohemi's dietitian to find out.
Hey Bryce, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I have some exciting news for you.
Oh, have you got my genetic results?
I have your genetic result.
Cool.
So this is
Good news. I don't have the genetic variant that puts me at risk for vitamin C deficiency. But what about the other one?
The one we do need to worry about is folate. Really important for, we think of reducing neural tube defects, but it's also really important for a healthy blood.
Is it possible to die of folate deficiency? Like, can you get folate scurvy?
Well, theoretically you could, but we don't typically see it.
Folate deficiency in men can cause everything from anemia and exhaustion to, OMG, premature aging. But in women, the impact can be even worse.
2 out of 3 people, about 66% of the population, do have the elevated risk. So you have it, I have it as well, and so does my friend April.
Oh, well, lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So what made you decide to do this test?
We're looking to get pregnant, so I wanted to make sure I was covering all my bases, especially nutritionally, having all of my minerals and nutrients in line. So.
Low folate can have serious consequences for pregnant women. Because it's essential for spinal cord growth and fetal brain development, a deficiency can cause birth defects. Have you noticed anything different since you did the test?
I definitely have better energy. My skin's been better since I've changed my diet. And just knowing that I'm doing the proper things nutritionally that I may not have been aware of before the testing has really given me peace of mind.
Luckily, it's easy to compensate with folate-rich greens like asparagus and spinach. Great, well, if you don't mind then, I'm just gonna take these with me just because
Bryce, we need
I don't want to be folate deficient.
Neither do we.
I obviously need to pay attention to what I eat. But what about supplements?
Figuring out exactly what we need in terms of vitamins shouldn't be rocket science, right? Or is it?
I wonder what the big brains at NASA give to astronauts to keep them healthy. To sort out the supplement confusion once and for all, I'm heading to the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
Astronauts are kind of the modern-day equivalent of seafaring old-world pirates. If anybody's going to know what we should be putting into our bodies to prevent scurvy and stay healthy in the long term, it's the brilliant minds of NASA.
One of those brilliant minds is NASA's lead nutritionist, Scott Smith.
I'm responsible for the group that is involved with trying to keep astronauts healthy from a nutrition perspective. And in a sentence, we're trying to determine the nutritional requirements for a long-duration spaceflight. And becoming deficient in almost any nutrient that your body requires sooner or later has very, very negative consequences.
Like pirates getting scurvy.
Like pirates getting scurvy, exactly. From Columbus's voyage to the invention of the steam engine was about a 400-year period. It's estimated more than 2 million sailors died of scurvy.
Seafaring explorers, like this handsome sea captain, had to get all their vitamins from the food they brought on board. Their lack of knowledge about nutrition put them at huge risk for vitamin deficiency. Astronauts, in space for months, face similar challenges.
When we have people flying in space on a limited food system, your risk of nutritional deficiencies goes up significantly.
So before you send an astronaut up, what kind of work will you do to investigate their health profiles?
We do a detailed nutritional assessment on the cruise before and after flight. We'll collect blood samples, we'll collect urine samples, and we'll measure 40 to 50 different chemicals in blood and urine samples to look at vitamins, minerals, bone markers, oxidative damage markers, proteins, you name it.
NASA advises its astronauts on adequate nutrition levels before launch. But is the food they take into space sufficient to maintain those levels?
We provide the same food for everybody. We maintain that the space foods that are provided for the crews will meet all of their nutritional requirements.
Ensuring they get all their vitamins in zero gravity must be painstaking. I wonder what they do to all the food and how it tastes. I'll get the inside scoop from Kimberly Glaus, the manager of the Space Food Program for the astronauts. Kimberly, how does space food differ from traditional food?
Well, the interesting thing is that it doesn't differ from traditional food. We're very proud of that. It's our goal to provide the astronauts with food products that they're accustomed to seeing and that they're accustomed to eating. For example, we utilize a lot of commercial products right from the grocery store in their own packaging. We simply put our label on it and a Bell coin on the back so that the crew members can control the product in microgravity.
Right.
We want the food to be as home-like for the crew members as possible. We want them to be products that the crew members are used to consuming.
Okay, so I'd be curious to try some of this stuff.
Okay, let's go.
All right.
So first and foremost, we have a package of orange mango drink.
Okay.
So interestingly enough, we still use Tang, what we like to think of it as.
So rehydrated eggs don't taste half bad, but it does beg the question. Does NASA mandate that astronauts take any supplements?
The only nutrient that we need to supplement with is vitamin D because the spacecraft are shielded so that the crews are not exposed to ultraviolet light.
NASA doesn't require any other supplements.
That's correct. There are some of them that like to take vitamins. There's some that hate taking pills, which usually boils down to, like if you want to take this, you're welcome to. We don't think it's going to help you. We don't think it's going to hurt you.
What would you recommend for the average consumer?
What we recommend to crews is essentially what your mother told you. More fruits and vegetables, everything in moderation. We tell folks all the time that there's no magic food. It really is getting back to the issue of a balanced diet.
In a sense, we don't have to overthink it. Just eat a balanced diet and you'll get everything you need.
That's correct. As painful as it sometimes is, your mother was probably right.
We may not have NASA scientists monitoring and customizing our diets to ensure we get enough vitamins, but does it need to be that complicated? If NASA says all you need is a balanced diet to get your vitamins, should we abandon supplements altogether? Truth is, when it comes to vitamins, there are still so many unknowns. So does that mean we should overcompensate with a suitcase full of supplements or megadose therapies? I myself am going to avoid the trendy stuff because from my experience, there just isn't enough science to back it up. So what's my nutrition plan moving forward? I'll stick to a diet rich in colorful fruits and veggies, and I'll take a vitamin D supplement because I'm a little low. But a balanced diet is still the best way to get your vitamins. It's what Mom recommended and what Mother Nature intended.